So in this video, we're going to be working on this Nixie clock that was provided by Insidious Nixies, and this is going to be a 6-tube IN-14 Nixie clock, and this one's got it's a fancy one. It's got Wi-Fi calibration and it has a temperature sensor. So this clock uses IN-14 Nixie tubes, and I'm not sure on whether the separators are high voltage or standard LED. I'll test them when the time comes. But this is a pre-built kit. All you got to do is put the tubes in. So what I usually like to do with these little guys is get like a piece of wire from a lead or a former Nixie tube, and lay a flat ruler on the base plate here of the housing, and then fold a wire over, and that's how we will determine the length of our Nixie wires. So when we pull our little wire out, we got a kind of like a little reference of how to cut the Nixie wires. So once you get one wire cut, all we got to do is just follow through the rest of them. So we got a whole box of Nixie tubes in here, IN-14s and IN-12s. So that's all we're going to do is start snipping some wires. Of course, the first one is the toughest, and then the other tough part is lining them up to get the rest of them straight and cut. And then on the Nixie tube, there's one, you have to look inside the tube for the anode. So it's usually got like a white cement on it. So this clock is, I would assume that the connections are for the back. Of course, it would make sense that they were the back. So this pin here, that's directly going toward the back, it has to be the anode. And from the little bit of visibility that I see, the pad is actually square, and the rest of them are round. So that makes some sense. So we're going to trim the wires here, and of course it's a little cumbersome. So once we get the first one cut, then we can just sort of match them. Sometimes maybe it's even just to mark them. But it's always easier to cut more off than not enough. Pretty close. So now the next tough part is to get the rest of them to cut the rest of them at the same length. So there's 13 of these little legs you got to trim up. So then we got something like this where they're all uniform. And then the next trick is we got to get them all lined up in the socket, which can be a real chore. So we're going to try to straighten these. Of course, these particular tubes will pull. Of course, something with this vintage, you got to be careful not to bend the wires at the base of the tube, because I have had happen to me in the past where the wires are compromised or they're a little bit corroded and they'll actually snap off at the glass, and then you're pretty much screwed. Okay. So now we need to pay attention to our anode one. So that's this one right here. And we're going to try to line him up with this socket in the back. And then it's ring around the rosy, trying to get the rest of the wires to play nice. And it's not going to be quick, and it's not going to be fun. Which you guys can't see what I'm doing anyway, because I'm too far in. something like this will test your patience. Because this type of a clock kit, since the this is wires, it's not that easy. Unlike the more rigid tubes. Of course, you're going to bend them and all that other good stuff. So you're going to have to bend them back. And do a lot of fussing around. So, no sense in me boring you to death because you're probably not watching anyway. So I'll be back when when I get all the tubes in, which might take me a couple of days. So after some cussing and some choice words, I finally got one in, and it's not in all the way. And I ended up taking the housing off because you just can't visually see down in there to make sure all the pins are all lined up. So now that we got this one in, now we can start working them in there. Like that. And luckily the housing fits over the tubes. So when we get them all back on, it'll look like that. So 5 more to do. So 5 more miserable tubes to put in. Of course, before I put all this back together, I'm going to make sure this battery is up to snuff since it's already apart. So here's the all the guts for it. So there's the Wi-Fi module, so it's definitely radio controlled. Not much on the top side other than the pins and the LEDs. And the little LDR for something. So I'll be back when I have all the tubes in. So after a few miserable hours of getting the remaining 5 tubes in, I finally got them in. Of course, I had a figure out a way to make it a little bit easier. So luckily I had one of these little hand drills. So what I did is I took the found a drill bit that fit through the hole, and I kept going up in size until it didn't fit, and then I would ream it out. And then on top of that, I went up a couple sizes even bigger, and I chamfered the top of the hole to make it easier for the wires to go and get funneled into all them little socket pins. Because otherwise, it's impossible. Because there's just not enough chamfer to guide all the pins in. And when they make the pins, they're kind of like flat bottomed. So there's no funnel. Don't know why they make them like that, but it is what it is. So drilled them out, chamfered them out, makes it a little bit easier. So now that I got the tubes in, I can check the little battery here, because I don't know how long this kit has been sitting on standby. So we're going to test that, and it's just a standard 1220 button cell.
Already on auto mode. DC voltage.
So we're going to check this battery. So we're at 3 volts. So that battery is still good. So now I'm going to put this back in the housing. So I took it apart because it was an absolute bear to get this in. I need to find all the bolts. These were all on standoffs. So I got to put the standoffs back in. I didn't know whether it was easier to take the bottom off or take the top off. So I just took everything apart. So now I'll just slide this over the tubes. Luckily the holes are big enough where you can do this. Because the last thing I want to do is take that apart. Of course the board has to go in first, then the standoffs. There's only a couple little threads holding these little standoffs in. Now for the bottom. The bottom also holds the little feet on. Okay, all back together. This is the kind of clock that once you set it up, put it somewhere where you're not going to touch it. Nobody else is going to touch with it, because you don't want them tubes to fall out, because you'll have just as much of a chore I had of trying to get them back in. So I got 5 extra tubes, so I'll throw in a couple. If you don't already know, this clock is going to be on a giveaway, so that's going to come up in another video of the official announcement on that. So now the next thing is we're going to power this up for the first time and see if all that work I done, the hours of work of sticking in tubes in there, paid off. So let's throw the USB-C cord in there. Well, at least they work. All the RGBs work. It's going through all its colors. So that's awesome. So now the next thing is, and I was curious on myself, I want to see what kind of voltage is coming out of them little separator holes, because this kit didn't come with
Already on auto mode.
the tubes for them separators. So there's All kinds of weird voltages coming out of there.
DC voltage. AC voltage.
So I don't see any high voltages coming out of there.
Measure diode temperature. Temperature. Auto mode. Is about to enter steady state.
They might not be an active thing. So I just happen to have some little neon Nixie indicators, so we'll throw one in there, see what it does. If not, I'll throw a LED in there. Let's see if it blows up. Oh, there we go. That's going to be cool. So we'll throw some neons in there. So these are a front firing type Nixie tube. Get in there. That's a crappy one. That was a crappy one. Let's try another one. Gotta go on my stash. Find another one that looks good. Of course, these little guys, they're going to be my personal touch. Because like I said, they didn't come with them. This particular kit. I don't like that one either. Come on. Get in the hole. Keeps dancing around. There. So that's a good set. But they're way too tall. We gotta get them down lower. Cut them in half. See what the length is. So they're about 40. So we'll cut them down about 20. How's that look? That is sexy. I like that. And it gives it class. Having the separators. Baby. So where's the IR on this thing? Oh, there it is, right there in the front. So let me get the clicker and the manual. Of course, there's a lot on here for the instructions on there. Configuration with Wi-Fi, so you'll have to use your phone. And of course, it's got 24 or 12-hour time, and then you can set the year, month, date, or month, date, year, or date, month, year. And of course, you configure it for Celsius or Fahrenheit. It's got an alarm clock. It's got a timer switch, glow tube test. I like the glow tube test. Default is 0 at boot, so I don't know what that means, because it doesn't have a breakdown of all the settings for that particular one. Anti-positioning time. So I can already see it rolling over a couple of times. So what I put in is the IN-14 bulbs. So the IN-14 Nixie tubes. Same thing that's what Yana has got over there. The one on the right hand side went bad. So I just happened to find them. And of course, I had to go through 3 of them just to find a pair of good ones. And of course, you can switch the colors and then play with the gradients and stuff like that. Input voltage is anywhere from 5 to 12 volts. Type C data line. So if you got a power delivery wall wart, it'll work for this. And of course, it tells you all the key numbers on the clicker of what does what. The number 1 key does the clock, enters the display time. Number 2 enters the display of Gregorian date. Number 3 is the temperature. Number 4, light sensitivity. Probably varies the intensity of the LEDs. Number 5 enters the alarm clock. Number 6 is the timer switch. Number 7 enters the display glow tube test. Number 8 is displays the glow tube antivirus scanning time. Number 9 enters the set date and time. Temperature back and forth switching parameters. There's a lot in here you got to look at. How to set the time, how to do everything. It's actually a pretty nice clock. Long press the menu key to display the middle 2 INS1s flashing, breathing, automatic memory for each setting. Digital transition effect, set the move effect. Wow, there's a lot in here. Awesome. So, I'm going to take a picture of this and email it to Insidious Nixies. I didn't get one with the little flashers flashing. There, I got one. It's tough to grab them little flashers. There we go. So, I'll email that to Insidious Nixies. And stay tuned because this clock, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be a giveaway. My channel first giveaway of a Nixie clock. And this one is awesome. And like I said, it comes with the temperature sensor. Comes with this little clicker so you can run it. And it's a lot easier to, it's the only way to set it. So don't lose that because otherwise you'd be screwed. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.